welcome you once again to another edition of Ask the Leader, heard each Tuesday on KISS 102.5 FM with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas. We welcome all viewers, listeners to the various media platforms. KISS 102.5 FM, Dr. Denzil Douglas, Dr. Terence Drew, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, and Young Labour Facebook pages, as well as Vision 2020. Welcome once again, and a reminder that the number to call is 466-5977. That is 466-5977. And there is also a rebroadcast Wednesdays at 12 noon. Welcome once again. As usual, we invite the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, National Political Leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and former Prime Minister, to make his opening statement. Good afternoon, Dr. Douglas.
Good afternoon, Erasmus. A very pleasant good evening to those who are tuning in at home and abroad by radio and by way of the internet. I want to thank you for your continued interest in this program, even in these very difficult times. I look forward every Tuesday to engage you and to listen to your comments and, of course, hear your concerns expressed. Tonight I want to also thank KISS FM for their unwavering commitment in ensuring that our program is on air live every Tuesday, despite the challenges that we face. Tonight, I'm also very pleased to announce that over the next month, this program will be rebroadcast on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. on Freedom 106.5 FM. In just 4 short months, the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic has dramatically changed the lives of people around the world. In fact, I want to pause at this time to reflect on those conditions and divisions who have been living abroad and who have lost their lives to COVID-19, especially when one considers that among these people are frontline service providers in this fight against the pandemic. My heart and our sympathies, they go out to the family members who have survived these pioneers, I would say, and those especially who would feel a sense of loss, a sense of being deprived of persons with whom you have been dependent for so many years. The mothers, the fathers, and the surviving children in particular, we pay our respect to you on behalf of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis, therefore, has been no exception in the dramatic changing of lives as a result of this pandemic. So much life, so much about life as we know it has now been changed. From quarantines to 24-hour lockdowns to home-based work, remote learning, physical distancing, and cancelled entertainment and sporting events. This pandemic has upended everyday life in so many ways, unlike previous crises before it. The COVID-19 has created a new normal to which we must all adapt, rich or poor, black or white, PAM, Labour or CCM, or NRP, We are all affected by this particular crisis. So many of us are feeling anxious. So many of us are now feeling afraid about our own future. When 4 months ago or 4 weeks ago, we had so much confidence as to exactly where we were going. Tonight, however, I want to give you the reassurance that our people will overcome this particular crisis. We firmly believe that our people are resilient enough. Our people are intelligent enough. They are resourceful enough. And of course, they are strong enough to survive. By the grace of God, we will emerge from this crisis stronger and better. Better than ever, because we will overcome this crisis together. I want to give you the reassurance that we in St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party, we love you, and of course we care about you. And we will be with you every step of the way through this crisis. Not only through this crisis, but also in the recovery period from this crisis. It is important that we recognize that we reach out to our most vulnerable who are among us. The vulnerable citizens under the Next Gen Cares program in particular. We plan to expand the distribution of care packages towards providing vouchers to select individuals and families in order to achieve extended support. At the constituency level, each of our candidates has begun various initiatives to bring relief, to bring encouragement, to bring information, and even entertainment to our people. For instance, the delivery of care packages was an idea that was spearheaded by the Honorable Marcella Liebert, His Excellency Steve Ransford, and of course, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley of Constituency Number 1. I want to thank them for this initiative. I also want to thank our benefactors, whom I have approached, and those who I didn't have to approach, to ensure that there was appropriate financing for this particular initiative. I want to thank Dr. Chu, the chairman of our party, for agreeing, and of course the treasurer of our party, for agreeing to have our party election funds redirected to assist in the financing of this initiative. In constituency number 3, the Honorable Congress Maynard has launched his COVID-19 Student Relief Fund in collaboration with the Ruth Liebert Foundation in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to thank Mrs. Walters for spearheading this important foundation in Atlanta. To date, MP Maynard and his beautiful wife have provided some $5,000 in financial assistance of $200 to 14 students studying overseas. I want to thank my own colleagues of the Next Gen team who have contributed as well to this particular fund. I want to thank Congress. I want to thank all those who have been speaking out about bringing our students home. Our students deserve to be home. I want to thank those in the social media in particular who cried out for help for these students, especially those who are in the University of the West Indies and who are studying in the Caribbean region. I want to thank the student associations the students themselves, who reach out to individuals. I want to thank generally my own party for responding very positively. In fact, I remember about 3 weeks ago, I made a call for the government to bring home our students, especially those who were in the Caribbean region. And so today I'm pleased on hearing that they would soon be home with us. I thank all who have been involved in this particular exercise. His Excellency Kenneth Kenny Douglas has started his 30-day belly fat challenge, conducting an early morning exercise class online. This fantastic young gentleman, a sportsman at heart, realized that too many people were putting on fat around the belly side, as he said. And he, with his training, and he being conscious of how important it is to stay, like me, slim and trim, decided to mount this particular program, 30-day belly fat challenge, in order to keep us in line. Thank you, Kenny, for your initiative. Dr. Terence Drew continues his weekly Facebook Live broadcast, discussing the issues surrounding the public health dimensions to this particular crisis. And over the coming weeks, we will continue to roll out other initiatives. I must say, before I leave this particular part of this presentation, that Leon Natter Nelson is in fact partnering with His Excellency Kenny Douglas in the belly fat challenge. He himself, that is Leon Nelson Natter, is in fact a sports enthusiast and understands how important it is to keep trim. Of course, he needs to keep trim in number 7. Now, I just want to say a quick word regarding the testing and the test kits. Dr. Joe and myself have come under unrelenting attacks by propagandists working for the Harris administration, some in St. Kitts and some in other places in the Caribbean and beyond. I just want to emphasize tonight that our people should not listen to the propaganda that is being spread, seeking to malign and demonize Dr. Drew's and the Labour Party's efforts to provide some 5,000 test kits to the health authorities. The Guangzhou Wonderful Biotech Corporation, which manufactures these kits in China, is a point of care testing leader that supplies these kits to over 140 countries around the entire world. 140 countries around the world. It has research and development centers in Tokyo, in Guangzhou, in Shenzhen, and of course in San Diego, in the United States of America. These test kits are also being widely used here in the Caribbean region, in countries such as St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada. And they have all been FDA approved. A CNN report recently published March 30, 2020, indicates that the antibody test kit supplied by Wonderful Biotech is one of the 5 rapid test kits approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, to detect COVID-19. You can go to these websites and read the articles for yourselves. And so I want to make it clear, absolutely clear, once and for all, that the articles being circulated as sponsored ads, note as I said, as sponsored ads on social media, are absolutely false and should be disregarded as fake news. Fake news that are attempting to malign our good doctor, Dr. Terence Chu. Our good doctor, Dr. Terence Chu. And so rather than invite and welcome the contribution of the parliamentary opposition in this national crisis, at a time when all sides should come together, the Harris administration continues to politicize the pandemic in so many different ways. And so we continue to insist that testing is critical. Testing is critical. Critical towards managing and controlling the health crisis using scientific methods. According to the World Health Organization, successfully building the capacity of our local health system to detect, to test, isolate, and treat every COVID-19 case is an essential plank on our path to recovery and the reopening of our country. This is very, very important. And this includes those with the symptoms and those without the symptoms. In fact, there are case studies that have shown that some 60% of persons who might have had no symptoms at all when tested were found to be carrying the virus positive. Regardless of the government's attempt to frustrate the good that we are trying to do, our party will continue the good fight to do all that we can to assist our people and ensure that the COVID-19 is contained and eradicated here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Remember what our own pledge is for the good that we can do. And it is all about you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to also turn to another area that is related to the pandemic, and to emphasize in the process that the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party will continue to do our utmost to assist, plan and prepare to lead our people through this public health crisis and the forced economic recession it has caused. And so I want to make the point that the stimulus is not working. The St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party has taken the proactive step, therefore, to establish the Economic Recovery Advisory Council. And in saying this, I must emphasize that my heart goes out in particular to those who are unemployed at this time and those small businesses which are struggling to remain afloat. And when I speak about our small businesses, I especially mean those who are self-employed in the informal economy, as grass cutters, as small farmers, as our trade vendors, and community shopkeepers and our bartenders. Even some of our nail artists, our hairdressers, and bartenders as well. The economic impact of COVID-19 has been devastating, and the projections being made by experts estimate that the tourism-dependent Caribbean region, in particular, will be especially hard hit. For instance, one IMF report states that the GDP of St. Kitts and Nevis can be expected to contract by some 8.1%, minus 8.1% growth. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, acronym UNCTAD, has conservatively predicted a decline in international tourist arrivals at 50%, 50% for St. Kitts and Nevis. It has also estimated that it would take about 19 months before the number of tourist arrivals to our shores return to St. Kitts and Nevis. And so, given the enormity and the seriousness of this protracted crisis, we are very disappointed by the response of the Harris administration so far, both in terms of the public health dimensions of the crisis and its economic impact on our people. And so, again, I emphasize, too many people are not receiving the relief that they need. The commitment of $15 million made by Social Security to its registered customers does not go far enough. We're hearing of very many stories where persons have been, workers that is, would have had their Social Security contributions deducted. But lo and behold, such would not have been paid in to the Social Security Fund, and so they are being denied access to this relief package. Something must be done, because these people who would have had deductions from their wages and their salaries must not be the losers, and therefore something must be done to include them among those contributors of the Social Security Fund who deserve to have their $1,000 or thereabouts as relief. I want to say that according to the Prime Minister, only 1,000 persons have received assistance thus far, up to $1,000 per month, which is nowhere near what is necessary to bring meaningful assistance to the thousands of people who have been displaced and forced out of work by this particular crisis. Many persons have not received the full amount that they expected. Many persons have applied and have been denied for reasons that are still unclear, especially the reason I gave earlier. $1,000 is not enough to meet the needs of our people when they are not earning any income whatsoever. Furthermore, it has been announced that only 4,000 people have received the $500 under the PAP program. From inception, the Prime Minister has always indicated that the PAP was reaching 4,000 people. So what about the new applications from those who have been thrown into the breadline after being impoverished by this particular crisis? What of these new people when Harris has said that he has put an additional $5 million into the PAP specifically for them? If the PAP has received an additional $5 million, then an additional 3,000 people beyond the 4,000 people who were already receiving this assistance should be getting it for at least the next 3 months. So it should be the 4,000 people who were there before, with the additional $5 million that has been put in, then another 3,000 people should be on the path. What we are hearing from the Prime Minister is the same 4,000 people who were receiving it before, who are now receiving it again. So what has happened, really, to the $5 million extra dollars that have been put in? We want to know what has happened to this money. It does not make sense to me to say that $5 million that has been put into the PAC as part of the COVID-19 stimulus response, if the very people who have been affected by the crisis are not getting it. Who, Mr. Prime Minister, are getting it? Who are getting it? The butler? I wonder. This is especially disturbing when you consider that prior to this crisis, the disbursement of the PAP was fraught with corruption and discrimination by the Prime Minister's own admission. Remember, the Prime Minister informed the nation that he had to stop the PAP, halt the payments, and start all over again because they had detected corruption and discrimination in the program. And so this is the kind of deception that has become so characteristic of this particular government. The stimulus program that is hardly benefiting anyone, not the people who need the help the most, nor our business, large and small. The periods of lockdown is having, or are having, severe impact on our non-essential businesses, and very little has been done to assist. No payroll support, no grants or interest-free loans to help to tide them over. The only thing that the government has announced is a suspension of the unincorporated and incorporated business tax, which are taxes on gross and on profit. Sorry. Everything that they have announced is a pay-later program, which does not bring any relief to the people to give them a chance to survive and speedily get back on their feet after this crisis passes. So where is the help really coming from? What is so stimulating about the so-called stimulus package? From the outset of this crisis, our party made several recommendations as to the policies that should be put in place to provide relief to our people and businesses and to stimulate the economy. We recommended that price controls be put in place, income support to our workers who have lost their jobs, and payroll support in order to incentivize businesses to keep 100% of their staff working. We also recommended a 50% reduction in electricity bills using savings from the low cost of oil or fuel. None of these recommendations has been taken on board by this particular administration. Our party is not deterred, however, by this. We continue to prepare and we continue to plan. And so I am very pleased to announce that our party has taken the proactive step to establish an Economic Recovery Advisory Council, which begins its work as of today. The council has been tasked with advising the executive of our party over the next few months in 8 particular critical areas to economic recovery over the medium to long term. They will advise on policies and strategies to achieve the following. 1. Reconnect and realign the local economy with the global tourism, trade and investments markets at the earliest possible time. 2. Resuscitate and grow the main drivers of the national economy, that is, tourism, manufacturing, construction and financial and other services, in order to put people back to work as quickly as possible. 3. To identify and invest in opportunities for further economic expansion and diversification based on the new norms and imperatives of the post-COVID environment, including inter alia, agriculture, and food security, ICT, information communication technology, that is, and digital infrastructure, comprehensive primary health care, and universal public health insurance and next-gen education. 4. Guide, channel, and monitor foreign direct investment into public sector projects that will generate economic growth and yield exponential development dividends. 5. Facilitate and also stimulate bottom-up approaches to small and medium enterprise development in ways that would incentivize and also reward our risk takers and enhance their viability and their competitiveness and create jobs for our people. 6. Restore the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program to its global competitiveness. And 7. Create an institutional framework for harnessing the full spectrum of economic benefits that the diaspora can bring to bear here in St. Kitts and Nevis in the areas of remittances, direct investments, human capital transfers, that is, knowledge, skills, ideas, contacts, and technology, philanthropic contributions, capital market investments, tourism, job creation, business development, and innovation. And 8, optimize the quality and delivery of our public services in order to ensure maximum impact and efficiency, and all that will enhance the ease of doing business here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so I want to emphasize that the Economic Recovery Advisory Council will comprise of experts, thought leaders, and professionals in the areas of law, engineering, information and communication technology, politics, small business development, tourism, public administration, and of course public policy, economics and finance, business management and development studies, and all who will lend their experience, their knowledge, and their networks to the national recovery effort spearheaded by a new administration. The Council will provide monthly written reports on the progress of its work to the executive of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and the future next-gen SKN Labour administration leading up to the federal elections. Our next-gen SKN Labour Party has every intention to hit the ground running with great urgency from our first day after this crisis. This is a very serious crisis, and it will take serious leadership. It will take honest leadership to help our country to successfully navigate the worst effects of this crisis. Our Next Gen SKN team is the only team that can lead our country successfully through this particular crisis. We have the track record in crisis management. Remember the closure of the sugar industry. It was a crisis point, which we navigated successfully. Remember the economic and financial crisis after 2008. We navigated successfully. Remember the crisis that was staring us in the face after the sugar industry, and we had to realign and create a new economy. That was a crisis which we navigated successfully. And so this is in contrast to what we have seen today, the lack of capacity of Dr. Harris to handle crises of this kind. What we have seen here very often, week after week, what we're seeing really is knee-jerk, erratic decision-making that will not hold us well for the short or long term. We, therefore, again insist that we have the commitment, the competence, and the compassion. We'll put our people first in all that we do. In fact, I remember when we were closing the sugar industry, Dr. Harris was part of the cabinet, and he felt very strongly that agriculture in St. Kitts and Nevis will not go anywhere. Agriculture, in fact, he said, in the Caribbean region has failed us as a people. He therefore said he could not transition the economy from its dependence on sugar to the new economy, where agriculture, non-sugar agriculture, will play a very dominant role. I had to give that assignment to the then Honorable Cedric Liburn, who was our Minister of Agriculture, who transitioned us out of sugar into this new economy that has been created. Again, as a senior member of cabinet, offered him the opportunity to take charge of the Ministry of National Security when each of us, as senior members of the cabinet, would have had other tasks. He indicated very clearly that he was not able to do it. I believe, therefore, that it is important that we recognize the capacity of our current leader. He is not able to do it. When we transition through very many crises as a member of the Labour administration, he said he could not provide leadership. How can he provide the leadership now? I would want to stop here for a moment and allow the lines to become open so that we can have our listeners' comments and we can have questions posed to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Douglas. As we await the telephone calls, I'd just like to ask you, Dr. Douglas, representation on this task force, workers, women, youth, small business?
Yes.
Are they represented?
Of course. We took a special, concentrated approach to ensure that young people, young professional people, successful people, small business people were being represented. We ensure that persons who would have served in several capacities, public sector, private sector, who would have excelled. Those who would have been public servants and who have done exceptionally well. women folk, they are all included in this particular council, which has been tasked with a national mandate to assist in the recovery of this economy, of this country, after it would have been affected by this crisis. Mainly a health crisis, but created challenges, crisis challenges in the economy and otherwise.
The number to call is 466-5977. That is 466-5977. Dr. Douglas, you made mention of the serious lack of leadership, honest leadership, etc., of the current Prime Minister, Dr. Timothy Harris. And for the record, one must indicate that when he took over the government of this country, the GDP for St. Kitts and Nevis in 2013 was 6.3%.
Yes.
And in 2014, 6%. According to the International Monetary Fund, he has not grown the economy any further because, according to the IMF, the GDP in 2015 was 1%. In 2016, 2.8%. In 2017, minus 2%. In 2018, 2.9%. Your response?
Well, as I've said before, Dr. Harris's management of the economy has been given a field grade. Because as the statistics themselves will show, there has not been any improvement with regard to the growth of our country beyond where he met it. In fact, since he has taken office, growth rate has decreased or contracted.
Or decelerated.
Or the economy's growth has decelerated. You're right. That's what it is. It has decelerated. And this is because really Dr. Harris lacks ideas. He lacks ideas. And what he basically has done is continued on the path of the economic development of the country that was met. Nothing has in fact changed. The CBI, which he meant as a leading program in the industry globally, the St. Kitts program was a leading program in the immigration and citizenship industry, which continues to grow as $1 billion industry. For us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, it has become cheapened to the point where it stands as one of the cheapest programs in the world within the context of the immigration and citizenship industry. And that is why one of the important mandates that is being pursued by the Council is to ensure that the citizenship by investment program, that it is restored to its previous global competitiveness. It was already a global competitor under the Labour administration, well built, well structured, on the path for increased growth. Instead, what we've seen is a global cheapening of this particular program, and thus falls almost at the bottom of those programs in the entire immigration and citizenship industry. This is not good for us. In fact, as I was saying before some time, the $900 million that we left in the Treasury, to a large extent, allows him the room to pay from this to the stimulus package. But even that, he is not really applying well. Enough money is there. Enough money is there to treat people better. It's just not right for the way some people are being treated. 4 weeks, they have been out of jobs, waiting to get this $1,000 from the Social Security. Many of them have been turned away, saying that, well, we are sorry, for one reason or the next, you do not qualify. But what is the qualification here, except that you've lost your job? What is it? You don't get into a program of this kind to weed out people. You find ways of assisting people to come into the program, to benefit from this package. A lot of it is being paid as a result of the $900 million that we left there 5 years ago. And someone wonders if it is not out of petty spite or, again, political party discrimination why some of these people are being turned away. And then we made mention a while ago of those people who are on the path. 4,000, we were told, were on the path for several months. Prime Minister announced that he was going to put an additional what? $5 million into the PAP. But yet he announced last week that no additional person has been put on the PAP.
Can you hold your thought while we take our first call?
Yes.
Good evening, caller.
Mr. William. Mr. William?
Yes, caller. Good evening.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm mighty fine.
Blessed afternoon. And good afternoon to the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas. How are you doing?
So far, excellent.
Well, give thanks. Anyway, I just like to say good afternoon to the listeners via radio and internet of KISS FM. Ask the leader. And the emphasis that you're explaining pertaining to your opening brief remarks on the COVID-19 and the way forward that we've seen the situation at hand is going to impact when all things have come to at the normal stage that is formulating right now and forwarding for what we're looking after this, as they say, the pandemic. I would like to ask, basically, the information that is circulating from in December that outlined that it was the outbreak in Wuhan, China, and now it's formulated now to be spreading rapidly into the other section of the world now, they call it in the pandemic stage. Are we really fully informed in the way how this information has played out from the get-go in this stage, that how the outbreak has formulated for our people to really know what we're facing and what the challenges we're going to have on the long run, commencing after the pandemic stage have increased from the demands of seeing that people are being lost in their life as stated. Because until this point, I would like to say it right now, is a man-made plan, this COVID-19 that you all are impacting to come forward to say that we are facing a deadly disease, which is a man-made plan. So I would like to hear from you, as your expertise being a professional in the law business, in the doctor business, knowing that your profession is a doctor and how you're seeing it play out now to the context of how it's really related in the starting of it. Thanks a lot.
I think this call and this question is a very, very important and loaded question. Mainly because it gets into the science of this genetic material that is the COVID-19 coronavirus in terms of its structure, etc. But the question also brings us into the controversy that is presently raging within the scientific world. It was just this morning or last night someone sent me an article that is carrying comments from the discoverer of the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, which, as you know, once it would have destroyed the human immune system, then allow the body to be overcome with several other systems and organ failures, and thus would have caused what we call AIDS, full-blown AIDS. And what the professor, what the scientist seem to be saying is that the present virus and its genetic makeup, one part of it seems to be the exactness of the HIV virus. But a second portion, he says, is attached, which, in his opinion, seems to have come from manipulation, man-made manipulation, which means then that it would appear as if he's concluding that researchers trying to find a vaccine for the HIV virus might have mistakenly, I would say, inadvertently created this new bug, this new virus, this new genetic material that eventually would have escaped and created the havoc that we see. Because he said that one portion of this virus seemed to have been similar to what you would have found in bats. But another portion of the genetic material seemed to have been as a result of manipulation. As you work in the lab trying to find a vaccine, according to his thinking, the genetic material could have become manipulated and changed in a way that now would allow for this new virus. But one thing that he said, and that is why I find this question so stimulating. You will see maybe the passion in my voice here. But he said that the good thing about it is that because one portion would have been natural in its origin, and the other portion being manipulated, it means that the manipulated portion would eventually be overcome. And so the pandemic will be short-lived because the continued fight between nature and what is man-made, nature will eventually overcome. And so the pandemic will soon, well, the pandemic will be short-lived. I want to use these exact words. The pandemic will be short-lived. Now this is very encouraging to me because as a medical doctor and being aware of the severity of HIV/AIDS, we would not want to get back into a situation where HIV/AIDS, as it was, would again raise its ugly head in a different form, a more devastating form. At least so far we've been able to manage because we've created the necessary pharmaceuticals, the necessary drugs that would have controlled the spread of AIDS. I remember back in Barcelona when we got together and we approached the top pharmaceutical companies at that time. And we said, listen, you need to allow people to access these drugs which can assist in making people's lives more comfortable, making the management of HIV/AIDS more acceptable, and signed that famous agreement where the antiretrovirals became available and we were able to ensure that HIV/AIDS no longer was a death sentence given to people when they would have heard that they have the HIV/AIDS virus. We've long gone beyond that. And that is why I am pleased that, according to this professor, the founder and the discoverer of the AIDS virus, that he thinks it is going to be short-lived. And so I'm very, very pleased to hear that. In fact, with what is happening today, the economic and the financial crises that have arisen, we cannot really even fathom and think about what this can do to humankind the world over. That is why, however, we have put in place as the next government the Economic Recovery Advisory Council, which will assist us to navigate the uncertainties of the future with regard to the impact of this particular virus on the economy and thus the social fabric of our country. Thank you so much.
Dr. Douglas, we haven't heard much about the marijuana industry for quite a while, but how important will this industry be to the rejuvenation of the St. Kitts and Nevis economy?
This is a very important question because the COVID-19 pandemic has really taken us away from what would have been the agenda for the development of St. Kitts and Nevis in the future. Remember, we always said that one of the new planks on which we would have developed the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis is really tackling the next growth sector, which is agriculture. And a diversification of agriculture in St. Kitts and Nevis would have meant the need to look at the marijuana industry and how this would be incorporated in the overall general agricultural sector in moving forward. You see, we continue to say that in this regard, there is a need for us to study the importance of plant science and plant therapy. Remember one of the first programs that we had when this thing broke here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We brought a number of people here around this table as panelists, one of whom was none other than the foremost local person as a scientist in this area, Dr.
Milton Whitaker.
Because we believe that plant therapy needs to be studied. And when we were looking at how the marijuana industry would develop here in St. Kitts and Nevis, a large portion of this thought was behind the necessary investigation and research and technology in plant therapy. What good would marijuana have in the new economy of St. Kitts and Nevis? What role will it play in terms of plant medicine and plant therapy? This is an area that we said as a new government we would have enhanced. Let the young minds, the brilliant students, the biologists, the biochemists, the botanists, the young scientists who are among us with the capacity for research and development look at the marijuana plant and the role it plays in the industry in terms of plant therapy and plant medicine. I don't know, maybe in the next few years, some young, brilliant petition division would have discovered that one of the ways by which one can calm and help to sustain life of patients impacted by this virus is the use of some plant. I don't know, but I look forward to the excitement of the future with our young people researching and attempting to develop the necessary solutions to these problems which we are faced with today. So again, I emphasize the marijuana industry does have a place as we continue to search for knowledge, especially in plant therapy, and as we continue to look at investing in the new growth sector, agriculture, and the role that the marijuana industry will play in this new growth sector called agriculture, which also is being targeted to assist us finding solutions to the challenge of food insecurity.
Dr. Douglas, your closing remarks.
I have enjoyed this particular program, and maybe it is the call that we had, one caller that we've had today, who has stimulated my own thoughts, and to a large extent has given me again that confidence, that feeling that we shall overcome this challenge. I don't believe that it would overwhelm us. I know that there are weaknesses in the present leadership of our government and of our country, but that will change. The people have already declared that they want a change. And so with the excitement of a new next-gen SKN team forming the new administration, and with our stated policy of pulling and inviting and including all past leadership, present leadership, future leadership, women, men, young people, professionals, public sector, private sector, pulling them together to ensure that we develop a program of recovery that will ensure that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis will survive. We are a strong people. We are full of fortitude, vigor, and energy. And with the youthfulness of our population, we definitely will survive. Thanks to the next gen SKN liberty, we shall survive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Douglas. A rebroadcast tomorrow at 12 noon on KISS 102.5 FM. with a rebroadcast on Freedom FM on Wednesday evening from 7:30. Again, we thank all our listeners and our viewers as we invite you to join us next week, Tuesday, at the same time, same place. Good evening and goodbye.
Thank you.